Welcome to Stuck in My Mind podcast, the show where we dive into the mind of a regular guy on his road to self-discovery. You'll hear everyday people just like you share the latest topics, personal stories, and things they've learned along the way. And now, please welcome your host, Wise.
And welcome to another episode. I am your host, W-I-Z-E. I have a very special guest. She's a personal brand strategist that helps entrepreneurs. So if you're out there and you need some help, this is the episode for you. Welcome to the show, Jen Campbell.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate being here.
I love having you here. This is what I love to do, to be able to speak to people and help spread some positive vibes and some great messages. That's what we do here.
Fantastic.
So, Jen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a mom of 4 boys. I have triplets and then a bonus boys, and I live in the middle of a small resort community in McCall, Idaho. There's less than 3,000 year-round residents here, and it's like 2 hours away from the nearest Walmart or Chick-fil-A to be able to get a market fresh salad. So it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. But I love social media because I'm able to impact millions of people online through my personal brand and work from home.
And that's the amazing thing about today's society is where you can leave a imprint doing digital content and being able to brand yourself digital, not even to leave. You don't have to leave your house now. Now you can stay home and work from home and be successful and do a lot of things working from home.
Heck yeah. And, I started my business during the pandemic in May 2020, but I already wanted to do something different. And you're not limited geographically anymore, which is absolutely fantastic. And the thing that can be frustrating about social media, a lot of people don't want to be on it because they think it's fake. They think it's phony, especially Instagram. They think that people are showing the filtered version of their lives. But it's really an opportunity for us to be able to connect and build deep and meaningful relationships if we're really positioning who we are and telling our personal brand story authentically.
Yeah, it is. And people tend to gravitate to those, especially in the podcasting community. People tend to gravitate to those podcasts where the host and the guest are truly authentic and they truly just want to be able to spread their message and be able to just be themselves. And that's what I try to do on my podcast is I want everybody, when they come on my show, I want them to be comfortable, just have a good time and just be themselves.
Right.
And the audience usually picks up on that. The people usually pick up when, hey, this guy's really authentic and the guests he has on are truly people who truly are themselves. They don't have to fake the funk, don't need to act like there's something that they're not.
No, and I want you to see the authentic Jen Campbell if you meet me in person or if you see me online or on my social media profile, because authenticity is my number one core value. I am who I am no matter where I am. And that's part of the reason why I call myself the cringy mom. Because, I have got those 4 teenage boys and, I'm the cringy mom. They're like that cheesy, awkward, embarrassing thing. And I was out in the middle of the road creating video content and I pointed up, I pointed to the side, I pointed down, and my husband's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "It's a TikTok." And he's like, "Why are you doing that?" And I made a little song and danced and went to the camera. I'm like, I need to do this to make lots of money and increase my social following. And that's what it is in a nutshell. It's that cringe. And it's knowing that even though you feel awkward and uncomfortable and a little bit cringy on social media, that you cringe forward and you do it anyway, that you use it to be able to connect with other people.
Yeah, you do. And that's something small businesses also and entrepreneurs tend to forget, that you can use these as just tools. They're not just to scroll and post pictures. And no, you can use them as tools to help you grow your business and grow your brand.
Heck yeah. Because Bob Berg, who's a famous sales trainer, said all things being equal, people will refer business to and buy from those that they know, like, and trust. And if they can't trust you because you're not showing up as the legit you when you're on social media, they're not going to buy your stuff. And there's lots of other people out there who have a podcast or who do branding like I do, but they're going to choose you because they like you and they get to know you and your personality, and then they trust that you're going to show up as the legit you no matter where you're at.
Listen, I remember when I first started, and people like you mentioned before, I wasn't gonna ghost you. I'm not that kind of person. But
Oh no.
But prior to me, really, when I first started, I was ghosted plenty of times, because one of the first questions people would ask is, "Oh, what's your following? How many listeners? How many viewers?" And it was just at the beginning of my podcast, so
Right.
of course my numbers weren't. I didn't have numbers; they didn't exist.
Does it
And
matter?
no, to me it didn't matter, because even though they ghosted me, and a lot of people said no, I continued until people started saying yes, and the podcast started growing, and then that's when people started reaching out to me. And so to be able to build this into the little following that I do have is a great feeling to me, because I've worked hard for this. I've worked hard to build the audience. I've been consistent. In the last 2 years since I've been recording podcasts, no lie to you, I've probably recorded. I just released episode 145 on my audio podcast, because in September I also started doing video. So I still have a lot of audio podcasts that don't have video that I need to put out. And no lie, I probably have more than 100 and something audio podcasts that I need to get out and released.
But you do start with one.
Yeah.
And you do, and it doesn't matter how big your following is. I don't have millions of followers. And right now I'm working on the TikTok. I call it I put a the in front of everything. The TikTok, the Facebook, whatever. I hit 100 followers. I hit 100 followers this last week, and I'm so excited, because it doesn't even matter. It's not how many you have. It's how engaged your followers are, and whether or not they're your ideal audience. And I would rather have 100 really devoted, loyal followers that are my ideal people that want to buy my product, or that just think Jen Campbell is fantastic, than a bunch of random people that have nothing to do with what it is that I'm doing.
And on TikTok, you actually, if you're consistent with it, you can build up a following pretty quickly on TikTok. But the key is consistency.
Oh, right. And that's what it is that you're sharing, because I mean, everyone has an opinion about, oh, do this, do that, or, you have to have your hook, you have to do, and short form video content, as you mentioned before. And I love that you're doing this audio and video. That's everything, every single social media platform right now. And, my job is to help people with their branding on social media. They all love the short form. They're all trying to keep up with the TikTok, which YouTube is number one right now for the length of time that people will watch content. Number two is TikTok, and it's coming. It's coming hard on the heels of YouTube, and Facebook is a couple minutes slower, and that one's decreasing. So you got to show up. And if you don't like video, or you feel self-conscious, like that's how I started. I took all the classes. I'd read all the books. I'd done the webinars, and I had studio lighting. I have like the really fancy pants microphone, and I didn't do it because I was so worried. Like, who does she think she is? Or what are people going to say? And just to let that go and cringe forward is a beautiful thing.
You sound like me.
Oh, really? Did you go through the same thing?
When I first started my podcast, because I had been wanting to start a podcast since 2019, and I bought the equipment, everything. I had me in little Burns studio equipment and everything. And I would like, who'd want to listen to me? Oh, I suck. I sound horrible. Who would want to sit down and listen to my episode? And I just kept telling myself, making excuses to why I wouldn't do it. And then I got furloughed from work at the height of the pandemic, at the very beginning of the pandemic. And so one day I'm just sitting here with my nephew, and we were just talking. I'm on the phone. He had already started his YouTube channel and everything. We were just talking about doing a podcast on. And I went, you know what? Record. And I recorded like 5 minutes, but it broke the ice. That's what started me with. That's what started the podcast. Yeah, I just pressed record and just went and did it. And 5 minutes turned into 7 minutes.
Mhm.
minutes turned into 10 minutes. 10 minutes turned into 12 minutes. Next thing you know, I'm doing half an hour. So like one of my first episodes was like 3 hours that me and this man spoke. And
Holy cow.
I had to split into 2 episodes.
Uh-huh.
And and then it's just started. I basically started improving with every episode. So
Isn't that how it is with anything in life?
yeah.
When we're uncomfortable, we're pushed outside of our comfort zone, that's where the growth happens. That's the moment where you go from a human being to a human becoming. When you become something more than you were and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't wanna do this. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It's awkward." And you cringe forward and it's just I love that moment. And I love to see that in other people. So I support businesses that show up authentically on social media. I support businesses where I know the person and I love the person and who they are, not just the product. And I try to and that's why I'm here because I saw, "Oh my gosh, you are who you are no matter where you are." I knew your
Yeah.
personality and everything like that, and I chose to spend time with you because I said, "Oh my gosh, that's someone I want to get to know better. Let's have a conversation."
And that's why me personally, I've tried to improve every time I get behind the mic, because I feel that people are giving me something very precious, which is their time. To
Mhm.
be able to sit here and record with you, and people watch this after I release and everything, that's something they're never going to get back, is that time that they stood to watch it. So I feel the content that I give them has to be something worth it.
Right, it's gotta add that value,
It
and
has
that's
to
what everyone
add
talks about.
value.
But and
Yeah.
what that value is, it can change, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a tip or a trick or, like, "Look at my shiny product that I'm selling you." It's the way that you leave them feeling,
Mhm.
and part of my personal like, Jen Campbell's personal mission statement is to uplift, encourage, inspire, and teach others. And so if I walk away from something and I know I've made someone feel a little bit better, or I've inspired them to be a little bit more, or I've taught them some cool thing that they can do, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
And that's just my focus.
Oh no, that's great focus to have, is to be able to. It's just, again, when you're able to be yourself and do what you do, and do what you do for a living, and enjoy what you actually do for a living, to be able
Mhm.
to. I didn't know I was gonna love podcasting so much. I didn't know I was gonna really truly fall in love and find something that I could be like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Let me continue to do this. And so when I found that this is something I was really passionate about, my wife even noticed, because I used to be a big
Mhm.
gamer.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, I used to be a big gamer, and my wife would be
I used
one
to
day.
have an Xbox gaming lounge, so I know all about that industry right there.
So the wife one day came to me. She's like, I know. She says, I know you're really serious about this. And I go, why you say that? She says, because you have completely abandoned your PlayStation 4. You have, and it is over there collecting dust. You are not touching it whatsoever. She says, there's not nothing wrong with that. She says, I'm so happy that you found something that you love to do. And
Mhm.
she doesn't listen to my show. She
Mm-mm.
doesn't watch the show, but she is my number one fan.
Well, and you don't and it's wonderful, like you mentioned, that you can do that thing that you love for work, but even if you get paid or you make your career in something else, there is something in your life that you can find that sense of fulfillment, and they talk about following your passion and that will lead to income. It doesn't have to. Sometimes you have a job that sucks, that drains your life and your energy and it's not where you want to spend your time, but if you have that one thing in your life that brings you joy, that fills your bucket, that just like lights your soul on fire, that's all that really matters. You can make money doing whatever. When you can do something you love and make money at it, that's a beautiful thing. I
Uh,
get to do that. I
that's a
love it.
plus plus.
Heck
That's a
yeah.
bonus.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be the end all be all, and as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you've heard a lot like, "Oh, quit your job, just go out there, start a business." Well, not everyone should do that.
No, not everyone is an entrepreneur. No,
No, and that's okay. That is a
no,
beautiful thing.
that is absolutely right. Not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. Some of them are just happy being employees, and that's
Yes.
nothing wrong with that.
No,
That's
no.
if they're happy doing that. I don't, because entrepreneurship is a hard task. It's not.
Right?
People want to make it seem like it's easy. No, it's not. You're actually sometimes working harder for less pay,
Yes. and just to like build your brand and your
This,
business or figure out. And there's a lot of I spoke with this someone earlier this morning about that. There's a lot of mistakes. There's a lot of, a lot of people call them failures. I call them learning opportunities. I've had so many learning opportunities in the last 2 years that I've done this, like so many. And sometimes I have to learn that lesson more than one time, which can be very expensive and very time consuming. But
yes,
that's just what we do to be able to become better people, right?
yes. In the long haul, yes. That's the ideal goal. Yes, is to become a better person, and that's why for me, I just try to read as much as possible. I'm always on YouTube. If there's something I don't know the answer to, I'm looking for the answer.
Oh, isn't that
So
cool? That you
yeah,
can
so
like Google stuff now? I mean, like I remember like I'm gonna tell my age here, but like having to bust out the encyclopedias, it's all in alphabetical
yeah,
order and look it up, go
and
to the card
listen,
catalog
this
in the
when you
library.
had to go to the library and go to the card catalog, yes,
Yes.
and you didn't. There was no computers for you to go research. Oh, it's in this aisle. No, when you actually had to go
No.
to the card category and find out where's the book that you need.
Right?
I remember when dial up.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody picked up the phone while you was on the internet, it dropped it, and you. So I
That
remember those
staticky
days.
sound that like you're like, oh,
Yeah,
or the flying toasters and
yeah.
everything like that. And I mean, like now there's more computer power on my phone than
Than any
there was
computer I
on the
had in back in the
desktop.
day. Yeah, but I have yeah. Nowadays you have phones that absolutely completely blew out the computers that we had growing up.
Right.
Completely.
Well, but then at the same time, there's the flip side of that where there's so much information and it can be overwhelming. And when you're looking at your career or your job, like how do you set yourself apart from everyone else who does the same thing? How do you make your video special? How do you make your services special? Because they can go anywhere to get their oil changed, but why do they come see you? Why do
Yeah.
they watch your show or they listen to your program or choose you?
What are you doing differently than everyone else?
Right.
What
No,
about you? What about you is setting you apart from everyone else?
it's your personal brand. It's that
It's
personal brand story that you tell, and you tell it visually. You can tell it through the colors that you use in design. You can tell it through your personal brand photos that you take to reinforce it. But most importantly, you tell it through who you are in your messaging. You share a little sample about your life to make you relatable.
and that's something I work really hard at is just really just be myself when I'm on here. I don't
Yes.
again, I'm not some big huge podcaster. I'm an independent, semi-successful podcaster, and I'm good with that. But I'm growing every day. It's
Hmm.
like I get to speak to people. At first, I thought I was being selfish by by talking to all the guests that I speak to and all that, and the guests themselves made me realize that's self-love. Just the
Hmm.
fact that I'm wanting to improve and that I'm taking these lessons from these speakers and these guests and implementing it in my life to become a better person. They're
Yes.
like, that's self-love. There's nothing
Oh, it is. And
selfish
to
about
like,
that.
and I hate the whole thing like, oh, don't brag on yourself or don't toot your own horn. Who else is going to do it for you? Like that's part of like saying, hey, this is who I am. Own it. Own your greatness, own your strengths. I mean, you can tell I'm a very energetic person.
Yes, very.
That's how I am in real life, and
Very.
it's not because I'm hyped up on caffeine, even though I worked at Starbucks for years. I don't drink caffeine at all anymore. Sugar is my drug of choice. I haven't had any candy yet today, yet. I
Yeah,
will later.
that's keyword.
But right, yeah. But I am who I am. And there's just a point in your life, hopefully, or in your business, where you have that realization that it's exhausting trying to be someone else or trying to improve or trying to impress other people to become who they want you to be. And you just own it.
Yeah.
And I do. And it doesn't mean it's easy because you'll get that pushback. You'll get the haters. You'll get the nasty comments here and there. And they're like, who do you think you are? Or this is dumb. Or they'll say all sorts of other things. And that's the chance that you have to be able to say, is this true?
Listen, I welcome the haters.
What do you like about it?
What I like about it? Oh my
Yeah,
God, I love the attention. Yes,
right?
hate on me, please,
Because then
please.
like you're
Because
polarizing.
then that means that they're actually spending time watching me. If they're hating on me, that means they're spending time watching on me. So haters, if y'all don't have anyone to hate on there, you can hate on me.
So, and you know, if you're having the comments that they are there, right?
Listen, if they spread comments, I'm doing something right. If they're hating on me for no reason, I am doing something right.
Right. And I think that's the other thing is sometimes there is a reason and it's true and it's valid. And that's our chance to be able to do that check and say, yeah,
So
you're right.
It is, you know what it is the fact that you decided to step out of your comfort zone and do something, and they did. That's usually what the problem is that they realize, hey, this person actually attempted something that they wanted to do, and not make excuses why they couldn't do it. But you know what? I guess I'm gonna just sit back here and be a troll anyway. So
right, and that's the number one thing I tell people with their personal brand is start with their picture. Like, does the picture look like you on your profile on your social media channels? Like not you 10 years and 20 pounds ago, but like how you look now. And not a logo for your business, not your favorite sports team or a cat. That's like my biggest pet peeve. Like you're not a cat. You're a human being. People connect with faces. And if you're hiding behind something, even if you're embarrassed about the way that you look, that's not an excuse. Like I used to weigh 130 pounds more than I do right now, but I still showed up as me. I want you to recognize me if you see me in the grocery store, because that's an opportunity to connect in person, not just online. And I've been in that situation where I ran into a girl from high school and I was visiting my hometown several hours away. And I was like, is that her? No, it did not look like her, but it was. I found out after the fact, and I could have given her a hug and said hi and had a great conversation because we're really good friends on Facebook. But her pictures were so heavily filtered, I didn't even recognize her.
Oh yeah, I don't. Any picture I put up is me.
Right?
I don't me.
I mean, I'm gonna own those. I'm 45, man. I'm gonna own the neck folds and
listen,
the little wrinkles.
I will be turning 46 this year.
There you go. Can you change that? My grandma always says it beats the alternative, and she's almost 93. So
honestly, I feel like I'm just getting better with time. Like I've actually found myself within the last couple of years doing my podcast. I've actually been able to discover more about myself doing the podcast. So I feel like I still got so much more to offer. I got so much time ahead of me, God willing. but it's just me just loving what I do. And to be able to, again, to sit down and speak to people like you, it's just energized me to continue to do it.
Heck yeah.
Because I'm having so much fun. I'm having so much great conversations. And the people that are coming on the show are great people that, yes, they're here to promote themselves and promote their brands and all that. But at the same time, they get to really be themselves. They get to sit here and joke around and laugh. And that's what I want, is to be able to have people be comfortable. Yes, like I said, you're here to promote yourself. But at the same time, I want people to realize that you're a regular person.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's what the show's about, is that to show people like, hey, regular people out here doing successful things.
Right. It's that, like I mentioned before, it's that human becoming moment.
Yeah.
And because you don't want to just be, you want to become, or at least I do. And because that growth makes you stagnant. So what is the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself in this process?
What that I'm capable of a lot of things. I
yes. Love it.
Yeah. Like prior to this, like I didn't have a background in media. I didn't have a background in audio, video, none of that. I am self-taught in a lot of the stuff that I do.
Me
a lot
too.
of the equipment that I buy, I research it, I learn about it, I try to master it. And so now friends reach out to me, hey, Wise, what are you using? What do you use for this? What do you use for that? Yesterday I was in a Zoom meeting because I'm gonna be in Podfest next week.
Oh, fantastic.
And so they had a networking thing yesterday, and they would break us out into little breakout sessions in groups. And a lady was in there, and she uses GarageBand to edit her podcast. And she's like, is there something I can do that it won't sound like I kept because she has this disease where she has issues breathing, so
Oh.
she would breathe a lot during her episodes. So she would there would be long. You could hear the breaths
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
her recording. She said, and she says, and every time I cut them out, it just you can hear that it kind of skips and it kind of. And I go, have you ever tried silencing it? Just not cutting it out, just silence the breath. And she goes, wow. She says, I didn't thank you. She said, we were put together in this room for a reason.
Right.
Because you'd had to tell me that tip on how to edit my podcast. Because at first that's how I would do it. I would cut the breath out. But then you would hear the skip and it would sound like you would hear it as if it had you basically you hear that I cut it there. So
Right.
when I started switching it to silencing the little piece of it, yes, you had the moment of silence, but it wasn't like it was cut. It sounded like it was a natural progression from the one word, then the breath, then take out the breath, and then the next word. So it would sound the transition would be smooth, and it wouldn't sound like it was cut. So, but it took for me practicing and learning and going to YouTube and finding out how I can because I use Audacity.
Uh-huh.
It's a free software and it does the job to edit my podcast. And so
But you could blaze the trail though. And that's the coolest thing about owning whatever your space or industry is that you can help other people because you've done the research and you figured out what works well for you or what hasn't. And you could be like, dude, okay, do not spend your money on this one thing
hold on.
because or don't support this business. They totally screwed me over. Or just, hey, if you just start with
So
this thing, I wish I had me
wait, hold
before
on.
I started.
It's not over. So I started a production company. So
Oh,
now I
really?
help. Oh yes, I help. I landed my real first customer client, not client, and we're gonna launch her podcast. So it, it it's come it's come now. It's come to the point where people are reaching out for me for my expertise in this field that I'm self-taught. It
Hmm.
like again, I'm a lot of the things I've learned. I've researched it and I've taken just like you. I've taken courses, classes on coaching, everything because I felt that would help me improve as a podcaster.
And that's the thing that gets me too. The value that you contribute and who you are has absolutely nothing to do with your income or how much money you make, for one. And for number two, where you learn something or how you learn something does not take away from the fact that you know something. So I do not have a college degree. I'm a college dropout. I do not have a degree in marketing, but I know marketing. I know branding and I know social media. And I've been able to make millions of dollars for other people and impact millions of people around the world without millions of followers through teaching myself these things, from learning things from other people. I've got the street cred. I've got the receipts for the stuff that I've done. Hey, you don't need to make excuses for how it is that you get that information. And sometimes because you have to work at it and go through the school of hard knocks or whatever, that lesson sinks in a lot more. And eh, because it's not always pleasant.
Yeah. No, listen, I agree with you 100%. This again, me learning this and I've added value to myself by learning these skills.
Yes.
By learning the things that I've learned, I've added value. And like you said, I didn't go to I didn't go to some prestigious school to learn this or learn how to be a presenter on radio or whatever. This is all me. This is all me
Mhm.
self-taught, me being myself. And from
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
there's
there's
things.
nothing wrong with those people with people who do that. And there's value and there's a lot of other things, but I, I think it's really easy to diminish or say second guess our worth based on the way that it's attained. And that drives me nuts because who you are is more important than what you do.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I've me I've had people come and just whenever I had questions, There's some people that, and because podcasting, I'm not gonna lie, the podcasting community has been amazing. The
That's
people,
fantastic.
the people that I've networked with are people that I haven't met personally. I haven't met in person,
Mhm.
but virtually we've built some great connections, some great relationships, and that's what's key in this is networking, is
Oh,
being
yeah.
able to network with all these other podcasters. Because honestly, me as a podcaster, I have to grow my audience. I have to go on another podcast.
Mhm.
I have to go present my brand on other podcasts. That's because I can probably reach with so many people by myself,
Mhm.
but by me going on another podcast, I get to reach out to their audience. So that's a whole
Right.
new different audience.
You get to build those relationships, and some of my best friends are people I've never met in real life, or I've met them once, or I saw them, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or whatever in middle school or something like that, and they're my favorite people. I have deep and meaningful connections, and it's possible to have that on social media or through podcasting or through whatever it is that you do, and I love people. I've spent spent decades in customer service, and I still love people. That's how I know that I'm doing something right.
I think my job, my day job, set actually prepared me for this.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that sometimes we don't know where we're going, or
You
we
know,
have no idea. We think, "Oh, this is the path or where it's gonna be," but there's experiences that we have on the way, and so I was gonna ask what has helped you?
no, I honestly, I really think my day job has helped me as far as presentation, just being able to talk and being able to be personable, because I'm a table games dealer. So you have to have personality when you're a dealer,
So,
because you
like a casino type thing?
yes, yes,
Oh, cool. Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
So what
And,
do you deal usually?
I deal everything. I deal everything in my house except for poker and pie gow tiles. Everything else I deal. I deal all the carnies. I deal blackjack. I deal roulette. I deal
Uh-huh.
craps. I deal baccarat. So there's so many different games I deal with that. But
Right, so and you've gotta keep people engaged, you want 'em at your
yeah,
table longer, you wanna
you
get a
have
good
to.
tip.
You
So,
have
like,
to
if you
have
make them feel good, they're
personality.
gonna tip you better,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, you have to have personality to be able to. Don't let me not say that you don't have, but the people who do have more personality usually helps the toke rate more, because even though sometimes even when they're losing, sometimes people tip. So
Oh, yeah, because they wanna be around you. Yeah, I if people wanna hang out with you more, whether it's virtually, if it's listening to you, if it's watching something that you do, then that's your audience. Those are people who can potentially buy your product. It's people that you can get to know better and learn something from, like you mentioned before.
yeah, so I'm not I know my job has helped me prepare for this. So
And
eventually,
that's
but
you don't
eventually,
know. I learned how to build a website because I couldn't afford to hire someone. Several years ago, I branded myself as Genealogy Jen, and I wrote my own blog, and I built the thing from scratch, and then 5 years later, I ended up getting paid by people to do that and to help them with their branding. I designed my own logo, now I design them for other people, and, I did all sorts of research on color theory and what those things mean, and now that's what I talk about and people hire me for. So sometimes something that comes out of necessity, 'cause, like, we're poor and we can't afford to hire someone else and we have to become the expert, um, those are great things that can end up saving us later on down the road.
listen, I agree with you. I am a Canva
Right?
groupie. I am a Canva groupie, and I love Canva, and especially since I've made a couple of logos and sold them using Canva.
Right.
I've started using. I create cover art and backgrounds and all the other stuff for other people as well.
Mhm.
And so it again, this has opened up so many different avenues, and not necessarily, I don't necessarily have to monetize my podcast, but I've learned skills that have helped me make money.
Right. Because it doesn't always come the way that we expect or how we
Uh, li-
expect.
I designed the logo one day in 30 minutes, and I got paid $250 for 30 minutes of work.
That's a beautiful thing. And that doesn't and that doesn't mean it wasn't quality.
Oh
When
no,
you're really
they
in your
love
zone of genius, then it's like
they love
fantastic.
they love the logo. It was worth every penny.
Right.
But it was just the fact that I was like, man, I only did this in 30 minutes. If I do these this many a week, I'm like, I'm doing pretty good.
Right. And but it's knowing what you like and what you don't. You know, when I started my marketing business, I tried lots of different things and I started by building websites. I can, but I hate it. So, like, you know, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And you
So it
do
took
it,
a lot
yeah.
of time, made me feel like pulling my hair out. And sometimes I did, and I'd be really frustrated and it would get just really hard. But then there's other things like I do now when I do one on one work to help people create their personal brand story, or I help them. I work a lot with coaches and consultants, and I help them create an analogy about what it is they do so that they can do that, or I do social media. I love it. It takes me just a short period of time. I meet with them. I think about it for an hour. I write out notes. We meet together and videotape it, and I'm done. And it lights me on fire. I walk away feeling more excited, and I make more money doing that than I did building a whole website. And it's only 2.5 hours of my time, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, because website design it does take time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then people and it's something that you need. And a lot of times when people are starting out their businesses, they think I need really fancy, expensive website. You don't. You need to figure out what your personal brand is before you even touch anything else.
I,
You don't need
and
to hire someone for a logo or anything like that if you don't know who you are, who you serve, what your values are. And then you can do the other stuff and talk to someone like me.
yeah, no, you're right. It's learning. It's
Wait,
learning
I'm
about
sorry. Can you
yourself.
say that again? You said you're right. I don't
Yes,
hear
you're
that
right.
enough from my
You're
husband or my
right.
family. So
You're right. I'm sure my wife doesn't hear it more often from me.
oh, I'm working on that. You know, I've been married. We just had our 17th year anniversary. And so, you know, when you've been with someone for a really long time, you realize, okay, it's okay to say, hey, you're right, or I was wrong about this.
Or she will never say. I will never hear her say that. Those words will never come out her mouth to me.
Really?
No, she will never admit she was wrong.
Well, or she, because I've learned that
Even
it's
though
easier.
even though we both know she's wrong, she won't admit it to me. She will not give me that pleasure. No, no, no.
Well, it's okay.
It's
I
fine. No,
I
listen.
know that I'm so dang stubborn that when I say it, I didn't say I said it very often because I usually am right. But you know, I can say it. It took me, okay, let's be honest here. Okay, it took me till about year 15 before I did that. So it's only been the last couple of years where I was like, oh, it's not going to kill me to admit that I don't know it all or that I was wrong about that thing.
Oh no, my wife. She's great. I love her. She's actually because I was widowed at 41 at 31,
Oh,
and
wow.
so I spent many years. I was not in a very good place for many years,
Mm.
and so when I turned my life around, I met my wife, and so I turned my life around, and she's been a big part of that. One of the first things when we got together was she was like, "Do you have a passport?" And I'm like, "No." She says, "Well, we're gonna have to correct that and get you a passport because I like to travel."
Oh,
And
wow.
that right there was like the sexiest thing any woman has said to me.
Because
It,
what was it about that you liked?
that she took control. She was like, "Listen, you don't have a passport. Well, you need to get one." She said, "We're gonna get you one because I like to do this," and that was like, "What? Okay."
She makes
Because that,
stuff happen.
oh yeah, she does. She does. Again, she does. She helped me start my production company. She handles all the things in the background, and it's great to have that support, to have
Mm.
someone that you truly love support what you do. Because let's be honest, like a lot of my friends and family do not support me.
Right.
They're like,
They're like, why are you on social media all the time? I'm like, it's my job. I got
no,
to do this.
they probably haven't downloaded the episode, and my sister does. I'm
No.
not gonna lie, my sister does support me. She's always sharing my stuff. I love that. But let's be honest, a lot of my supporters are people I've met doing
Yes.
this,
Yes.
and I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. But it's a great feeling to have the one person that you truly love having your back.
Right. I always said my husband, you know when you found the right person because they make you want to be a better man or woman.
Yes.
Like they have you like step up, and he almost died in March from like a gallbladder issue that was undiagnosed, and it was going septic, and we had to take him 2 hours down the windy mountain pass to the ER. There's a small hospital here, but they did tests and they're like, okay, if it'd been a few more hours, that would have been it. He had to have 3 surgeries, and he almost died on the operating table after during the third one. But the point is, it just reinforced. I okay, if I were to lose him right before his birthday here, um, did I tell him everything I needed to? Did I use that time the best way I could have? Did I appreciate the time that I had? And I realized I didn't have any regrets, but at the same time, I'm like, I really am grateful for having that additional time. I didn't, I that could have been robbed from me.
Oh, it listen, when you do lose someone you love, it does change the way you, at least for me it's and it was like one tragedy after another. I lost my wife. I reunited with my father after 25 years, only to lose him after I go see him for like my wife passed away 2008, 2009. I reunited with my father for the first time in 25 years.
Wow.
I go see him. My sister goes, "Hey, for Father's Day, I want to send for you." So I went to Puerto Rico. I reconnected with my dad. I got there Friday night. We hugged. I forgave him. But even though I had forgiven him years ago already, because I was like I couldn't hold on to the
No.
anger anymore. But being able to hug him and tell him, "No, listen, I forgive you. Whatever the reasons were that we were separated for so long, it's fine. It's over with. Let's just move on." And it was a great feeling. And then that Saturday morning, he woke up. He had a hearty breakfast. He had plans for a big dinner. Lays down for a nap, and doesn't wake up.
Wow.
So the very next day after reconnecting with him, I lose him again. And that can be that's something like I'm like, why? What did I do to have lose my wife, then lose my dad, and then again, like I said, it was another tragedy. I lost two brothers, one to a drug overdose, one uh, to HIV. I lost an uncle to just an accident that just was ridiculous. It was just unexpected. I lost another cousin to HIV and an aunt and a cousin to cancer, and this was within 5 years.
So a
This is
lot of
all,
loss and death and
and
everything we've had to deal with.
so it it made me it just for some time I was angry, just
Mhm.
angry. Like, why? What am I doing? What am I doing that this is
Why
happening to
me?
me? And
Why
then
me?
one day I woke up and was like, I need to stop. I had no control over those situations. There was nothing I could do to change those situations.
Mm-mm.
Why am I so angry? Why am I hurting myself? Doing just self medicating, drinking, not taking care of myself.
Mhm.
Why? It's like I'm angry at what? At something I had no control over. And so to
It's the
find,
lost possibility and potential of the situation,
yeah,
and not having that with the relationship, the memories, or whatever it is. But no matter what it is, we have a choice. We can't choose what happens in our life. I mean, some of our choices influence that. We
yes,
can't choose what happens, but we can choose how we respond. We can choose how to view the situation, and we can say, okay, this was a terrible, horrible thing. I hate my life. It's not, I'm done. Peace out. Or we can say, what can I learn from this experience? How can this help me in the future? How, and regardless of how crappy, whatever it is, abuse, whatever it is that you're going through or if you've been through, I firmly believe that there's good in every situation. Even if it's one little morsel speck there's something good you can focus on in the situation. And I believe that because I've had to do that.
Yeah, no, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. This, like you said before, there's not mistakes; they're life lessons.
Oh yeah, they definitely
And
are.
I believe that everything that I've experienced in my life had to happen for me to become the man that I am.
Right.
And then the decisions that I make now just kind of help, just kind of set in motion the man that I will become.
Yes.
And so, and this is a lot of things that I've been learning the last few, because it's crazy, because my first wife, she prepared me for, I think she prepared me because she introduced me into the world of self-development and reading and getting into reading books
Hmm.
and learning about mentors and just basically developing myself.
Hmm.
And she prepared me. I think that was her gift to me, was to
Mm.
show me that path, to show me, hey, there's this path that, yes, I strayed away from it, but now I'm back on it. Now I'm reading more. I'm taking courses. Of course, had to take therapy after everything, but I'm better for it.
Oh heck yeah. It kills me when I see someone and I can see the potential in them and they can't see it in themselves. That they're stagnant and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, if you were just to do this one thing, or if you were to believe in yourself, or if you were whatever it is," but they can't see it. And that's happened to me with clients, that I can see the potential for their business and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, here's the path, here's the plan and the map," and they don't do it. I
Yeah,
can't control the results. I can only control the strategy that I provide.
basically, you can lead the horse to water. You can't just have them drink. You can't make them, force them to drink. Yeah.
Nope. Nope. And they're thirsty and they're starving. They're like, "Where's the water?" And I'm like, "I'm holding the pail for you. Come on over." And they just don't. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because maybe they're not ready. Maybe what you have to offer, that they need it, but they don't need it right now.
Yeah,
Or there's
that's not.
something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not what they needed to. That's not what they needed to hear at that point in time.
No, no. But when um, that you've had the right audience, when that message resonates with them, that the timing's right, that, like you said before, you're having the conversation in that moment, in the right headspace, and that connection is made, and that little spark happens.
Listen, there was one day I recorded 4 episodes.
Holy cow, I bet you were exhausted.
No, no,
Really?
complete
Why?
opposite. Why? Because it was great conversations.
Ah.
So the energy from that I received from each guest just pumped
Mm,
me up more for the next guest. That by the
fantastic.
time I got to the fourth guest, and they had known that I had did 3 previous episodes, by the time we were done, they were like, "Thank you." I was like, "Why?" They're like, "Because you have nothing but energy." They're like, "You have so much energy, and I know you just recorded 3 episodes prior to this, and you're still going." I'm like, "Yo, well, when you love what you're doing, it's especially when the conversation is going so well and the
Mhm.
energy is just transferring, because energy does transfer, even though we're in video,
Oh, no, no,
energy is
no.
still
It's
transferring.
everything.
Yes, it's still transferring from one person to another. And to just have that energy just keep flowing back and forth, it's not draining. It's draining when they're just sucking it out of you.
Right? Yeah, I call them emotional vampires. Like, they suck
Yes,
you dry and they leave you, bare.
drained.
That I was gonna say, you're talking to the right people if it energizes you.
Oh yes.
And just
It
like social media on your feed, you can control who you follow, who you interact with, and what shows up in your algorithm, because it's customized for you on any platform that you're on. And if you don't like how it makes you feel, follow other people.
yeah.
Comment on stuff that you want to see. You can control what you're feeding
Listen,
yourself.
I'm always sharing quotes, positive energy. Like if most of the websites I follow has something to do with positive energy,
Yes.
just positive vibes, and so my feed is positive, is none of that stupidness that I don't want in my life, because that's not what,
No.
those are not the videos that I'm watching. Those are the
No.
not things I'm watching. I'm watching self-development videos. I'm watching coaches, mentors, Les
Yes.
Brown, Eric Thomas, Tony
Mhm.
Robbins, John Harrison. Anybody I can listen to, I'm listening to.
So you can learn from them that are experts in their field, and you can be inspired and to go away feeling better.
Because to me, they're mentors. Even though I
Yes.
don't know them personally, they're still mentors to me because I'm following their teachings. I'm listening to their audios and reading their books. So I suggest people go out and find yourself a mentor. Find someone you can look up to and be like, okay, what they did, they have a similar story to me. This is what they did. Let me see if that works for me.
Oh, heck
And
yeah. And it
yeah,
doesn't have to be someone famous. Sometimes the best mentors are someone who's like on that next rung of the ladder that you want to hold on to.
oh no, I have when I moved down to Florida years ago, I became an assistant manager at McDonald's. I started as regular crew, but I got promoted very quickly and made my worked myself up to a assistant manager.
Uh-huh.
And my store manager, who I am still friends with today, he is to me is one of my mentors because he taught me management skills.
Mm.
And he taught me and the way he taught me, it wasn't like you have to be stern. He was stern, but yet he did it the right way. He did it to you. If he reprimanded you, he reprimanded you the right way, not yelling at you and screaming at you. He sat down and spoke to you and explained to you, listen, this is what happened. This is why this has got to happen. And
Mhm.
I respect him for that. And to this day, me and him are real good friends. And I consider him to one of my mentors because of the way he taught me to manage people.
You connected with him as a human being and
Yeah.
as a person, and he had that empathy when he was working with you.
Yeah. And my wife says, why do you, he says, she goes, why do you still speak to certain people? I have friends that like my first client that I just signed. I've known her since kindergarten.
Yep.
We've been friends since kindergarten, and she's a pastor. Her and her husband, they wrote a few marriage counseling books and stuff. She owns her own tax business. She's a very successful woman, and
Mhm.
she saw that this was my field, and she had wanted to start a podcast. She's like, let me reach out to my friend.
Right?
And
But
I'm
she knew
glad.
what you did because you weren't afraid to share that wherever you're at. This is what I do. This is what I like
Yeah,
to do, because you never know who those potential clients are.
absolutely. Yeah, that to me was amazing. And like I said, I've known her since she's like one of my oldest friends, and I have a lot of friends that I've known for more than 20 something years, and that's
Mhm.
just to me that's just the person I am.
Right.
Is regardless if me and someone might not speak for years, but we have such a relationship that when we do reconnect, it's like we never missed a beat. And
Don't you love that?
I love that. I have quite a few friends like that. And my wife doesn't understand that. She's like, how do you still stay connected to people for so long? And to me, it's because I just be myself, and
I
I don't.
find value in the relationships, and I don't know. I sometimes I feel like I'm a friend collector. I love to have the 64 box crayon. So I've got like all, or I don't remember. I never got the big pack. We could only get like the 18 or however many it was. But I always wanted that big pack with all the crayons in it.
Yeah,
But I like to have all of the variety. I like people from different places in the world, different cultural backgrounds, different religions, different political philosophies, because it contributes to like a really deep and rich experience for me. And
yeah.
I get to learn. I want an opinion about something. I can say, oh, out of my friends, who do I know that does this or that has that or has had that kind of life experience? And I'm a connector. So I use that to be able to connect. I'm an entrepreneurial connector. So if there's something that you need, a service, a person, or a specialist, sometimes I feel like I know a guy, or I
Oh
know a
yeah.
girl, or
Oh no.
I'll hook you up. I
Yeah,
love to
and
think that.
that's what's key about networking
Mm-hmm.
is that that connection might not be necessarily for you.
No.
It might be someone you connect with down the line, and they like, oh yeah, I'm looking for such and such. You're like, oh, they really? I had actually interviewed such and such a person. Let me link you two guys up.
Oh
Here
yeah.
you go.
That's why I do
And
like referral. I love that. I do a 20% referral fee if anyone refers business to me, because that's people who know me, like me, and trust me. They're more likely to send me business. I can develop
yeah,
that relationship with people online and through social media, but someone who's actually worked with me or who has built a long-term relationship, it makes a difference.
it does. It does. All right, Jen. So look at we've gone almost an hour.
Dude, I know I can talk forever. I was like, I
No,
should have
no.
started at the
Listen,
beginning,
there's
been like,
not.
how long do you want me to talk? And
There's nothing. Listen, I love this. I love this. This is what I love to do. But now is the time where you get to plug away and let people know where they can find you, all your outlets, everything.
Well, I'm the Cringey Mom, Jen Campbell. Most of my handles are the Cringey Mom on LinkedIn, on TikTok, and on Instagram, and my Facebook business page as well. My personal Facebook page is Hello Jen Campbell. And here's the biggest thing. I have a freebie if people want to have a personal brand values template. You can go to jencampbell.com. There's a P in Campbell /freebie, FREEBIE. And they can download one of those templates, because your personal brand starts with your personal brand values. So identifying those key things about who you are and what's important to you is the foundation of your brand. So that's why I like to give it to people.
Awesome. And all that will be in the description when I release this episode, people. So definitely go get your freebie. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with freebie, people.
No.
Go out there and get that freebie.
Heck yeah. Because you never know, like, if, I don't know, free is one of my favorite 4-letter F words. It's a good thing.
But all right, don't leave just yet. I'm gonna give my shout outs and we'll talk a little bit offline.
Sure.
But now it is time for shout outs. Big shout out to my Real Wise fam, Bobby J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady, Fina. I love you, baby, and appreciate you. Big shout out to the Cringey Mom, Jen Campbell, for coming by and showing some love. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless y'all. Be safe. You know how your boy Wise does it. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Listen on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and TuneIn. Find us on social media on Twitter at @wise_b_blunt, Instagram at @wise_b_blunt, and a Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/wise76. Check back soon for new episodes. Until next time, peace out.